WNBA basketball coming your way tonight from downtown Los Angeles. The site, Staples Center. Playoffs are set right now. Teams are set. There's still some jockeying for position around the league. And tonight's game could go a long way towards deciding which teams end up where. The Atlanta Dream in town take on the Los Angeles Sparks. Welcome, everybody, to Sparks Basketball here on FSN Prime Ticket. I'm Larry Burnett. We have big news for you tonight. 7-foot 2-inch news. Margot Dudek has signed with the Sparks. We should see her in action here tonight. We also have Tracy Warren with us. She's not 7'2", but she's pretty darn good. LA Sparks, we know they're in the playoffs, and we know the big reason. The big 2+1.
Candace Parker, Lisa Leslie, and Delisha Milton-Jones, the best front line in all of the WNBA. It doesn't hurt that they're three Olympians, and they get it done on both ends of the floor. These three front court players account for over 50% of the Sparks scoring, 1 and 2 in shot blocks. They are going to be tough to beat come playoff time and tonight against the Dream.
Nobody wants to see the Sparks in the playoffs. Atlanta, they've only won 3 games all year. They're an expansion team, but they have a superstar on their squad, and they have really ridden her all year long. Her name is Betty Lennox.
And one thing Lennox does is score. She is 6th in the WNBA in scoring. She'll score off the dribble. She'll hit the three. In fact, she has led the team in scoring every game since the Olympic break. What's the problem? She's 5'8", and she needs a cast of supporters. Lennox can't do it herself.
She had 44 points earlier this year and put up 32 shots in that game. She's not afraid to shoot. There's no question about that. 2 games left for Atlanta. If they win those 2 games, they'll avoid having the worst record in the history of the WNBA. But they got to win tonight, and they have to win tomorrow night in Seattle. It all starts here tonight in Staples Center. Sparks hosting the Atlanta Dream. It's coming up next. Lisa Leslie, Candace Parker and company against the Atlanta Dream on FSN Prime Ticket. Sparks Basketball on Prime Ticket is being brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealer and by Carl's Jr., which now serves breakfast as big as their burgers. Try the new Monster Breakfast Sandwich piled high with 2 eggs, bacon, sausage, and cheese. And you get a nice look at downtown Los Angeles. Now we get a nice look at the Atlanta Dream and their starting lineup. Erica D'Souza, former LA Spark, will be in one of the forward spots, along with Isiana Castro-Marquez. Allison Bales up in the middle, good shot blocker. Betty Lennox and former Detroit Shock player, Ivory Latta, rounding out the starting 5 for Marinelle Metters, the head coach of this expansion team. She's been around the league. This is probably the biggest challenge she has ever had in taking over a team starting from scratch. For the LA Sparks, you're probably pretty familiar with the starting lineup. Delisha Milton-Jones, Candace Parker up front along with Lisa Leslie in the backcourt. Shannon Bobbitt and Keisha Brown. Michael Cooper is the head coach. His assistants Marianne Stanley and Laura Beeman. 2 games left for the LA Sparks. They play tonight and then host Seattle on Sunday. And they may know their playoff position before they ever get to Sunday. We'll talk about some of those possibilities as the night goes along. As we said earlier, the Sparks have really big news tonight. Lindsay Soto to tell you all about it.
Really big news, a very big new presence on the Sparks bench in the form of 7'2" Margot Dudek. She is the tallest player in the history of the WNBA, and she is suited up for the Sparks tonight for the first time. Brought in to fill the void left behind when Christy Thomas went out for the season with an injury. She's expected to help out in the rebounding and shot blocking department. Not that the Sparks need that much help in that latter department. Of course, Lisa Leslie and Candace Parker are 1 and 2 in the league in block shots this season, but that is Dudek's specialty. She is the league's career leader in block shots. Probably won't see that much of her tonight. She just had a baby in April, and her conditioning isn't exactly where she would like it to be. Maybe 10 to 15 minutes on the floor. Coop and Dudek say that that's probably about all she'll be able to give them. Larry?
Thank you, Lindsay. I was at practice yesterday, and I watched Margot, and she certainly has the shooting touch still down, and she likes to shoot from outside. They put in some plays for her yesterday on the offensive end, but as Lindsay said, and as Michael Cooper has said, what he really wants from Margot Dudek tonight in her limited playing time is defense and rebounding. She can do that, fill in 8, 10, 12 minutes. They'll be happy with Margot Dudek. Margot was saying before the game that she said her pregnancy was like the best vacation she's ever had. Said she barely had a bump. That she went into the doctor's office when she was about 9 months pregnant and asked about some test. And the nurse said, well, you can't take that test unless you're pregnant. She said, I'm 9 months pregnant. They had the baby in April. David is here along with Dad, David. Let's take a look at the score from tonight. It's a big one, too. San Antonio sitting on top of the Western Conference, and they got a big win tonight over Connecticut, and that sews things up. San Antonio will have the top seed in the West going into the playoffs. 2 and 3 still to be determined, and maybe 4. See what happens in this game. Lisa Leslie to jump it up against Erica D'Souza. And we are underway here at Staples Center. Our officials, Bonita Spence, Scott Twardowski, and June Cortell.
One of the things the Sparks are focusing on is getting on the board offensively early in the game. They've had a hiccup right out of the gate, and they know as they get closer to the WNBA playoffs, they've got to get that offense clicking in motion sooner.
Well, Sparks played last Friday night in San Antonio, and it was not a game to remember. It was kind of remember the Alamo and forget San Antonio game. They had a bus trip that night, went into Houston and played a great game. Worked their way into the playoffs by using the Comets. That's Keisha Brown with the first bucket of the night.
The Dream is a team that you're going to see Betty Lennox get a lot of touches. They run just a couple of sets, almost with Lennox touching each time down the floor, but turnovers have been their Achilles heel. They had one there. Sparks capitalize.
D'Souza with the miss. Bobbitt keeps it alive for Keisha Brown.
The other thing you notice about the Dream is 3 of their starters have 3 years or less experience.
How about moving the basketball? A couple of touch taps right there. Alicia Milton-Jones caps it off.
So it's tough to defend the quick interior passing of the 6'4", 6'5" post players of the Sparks.
This is Allison Bales. Good shooter from outside, and she shows it. Also a good shot blocker inside. So we'll watch her tonight.
Well, most of the Dream big players do like to play on the perimeter rather than inside, so we are going to see a lot of those 15 or plus footers from the Atlanta team.
Candace Parker against Castro Marquez, no double. Leslie baseline. Off the heel. And the Sparks get an offensive rebound.
One of the things Michael Cooper said to us is Lisa Leslie was a better perimeter shooter last year, and she just hasn't found that stroke, although she's still taking it. Took it that time down the floor, but still not getting the thing down.
Milton-Jones for 2. She's got 4 points. Sparks have got 6.
She is one of the players that's actually accelerated since the beginning to end of the season. I mean, her performance, if it could get better offensively on the floor, has done that.
Castro Marquez out to Bales. She's 2 for 2. 6-5 game. First game between these two teams was way back on May 25th. Keisha Brown coming in from the right side. Bobbitt for 3. Another offensive rebound put back by Parker. No good, but she'll go to the line. Back on May 25th. Sparks won in Atlanta 74-56. That was the second game of the season for the Sparks, and they have certainly improved their passing since then.
And you know, part of that is Candace Parker. She's such a good passer. Lisa Leslie, and then finds the open player. But the good anticipation by their big post is the reason why they're up in the assist category.
Parker has improved her free throw shooting as the year has gone along. As soon as I say that, she missed. Sorry, CP. She's a 72% free throw shooter, gets to the line more than anybody else on the team, and hits more free throws than anybody else. Early in the year, she was at upper 60s, and she's really improved quite a bit.
And Michael Cooper said part of that is because she's taking her time at the charity stripe, literally counting to herself and going through the whole routine, getting the shot ready and sinking it.
Ivory Lotta taking it in, and she'll have some free throws coming up.
Now, everybody says this team for the Dream is surrounded by Betty Lennox. Really, it's the fiery emotion of Lotta. If you know anything about North Carolina, you know, Ivory Lotta, led North Carolina to a Final Four. Exciting player, has all the passion. The fans love her down in Atlanta. And you'll always see her hustling. And with a record like the Dream have at 3-29, it's tough to stay up all the time. And she says, you know, sometimes our team looks like $1 million. Sometimes it looks like $1.